So the countdown to this year's World Cup is well and truly on as 32 nations combine to create the greatest sporting spectacular on the bloody planet. But in this video, I'm going to try and answer you one simple question. Can England win this year's World Cup? That's right, folks, back once again with another World Cup summary video. That's right, where we're going to try and answer one simple question. Can this nation actually go out and win the World Cup out in Qatar? We'll take a look at it, all of it, in a second. Of course, if you're new, where you been, smash your subscribe button, bang it. All things World Cup related, Blabbing Rovers related, world football itself related. We got it all here, boys, under one roof. Of course, the countdown is well and truly on, with the tournament set to kick off in November 2022, of course. But what's going to happen this coming World Cup? We'll take a look at all of it in a second. Of course, big shout out to my VIPs. They are the patrons, of course. And if you are interested in helping out the channel in another way, check out the links down below. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Twitch, I'm on Patreon, and of course there's a Discord in there. So get in amongst it and let's get chatting. Let's take a look at England then, of course, as they try to win their first World Cup since 1966. Of course, the ladies had some good success earlier in the year, winning, of course, the Euros. All the pressure now goes to Southgate and his boys over in Qatar 2022. Of course, down the foot of the graphic here, you can see how they qualified. We'll elaborate on that in just a second, of course. So England qualified as Group I winners, which is that graphic down below, ahead of the likes of Hungary, Albania, and of course Poland, who actually had to settle for a runners-up spot and of course a journey via the playoffs. Of course, they secured the deal back on the 15th of November 2021. They didn't lose one single game out in the qualifying phase. They had a couple of tricky ones. Draws, I think, against Hungary and Poland along the way. Let me have a quick look at it. Hungary here, Poland there. So yes, they had a couple of draws, but a couple of statement results as well. A couple of 5-0s, 3 5-0s, a couple of 10-0 there, and a couple of 4-0s as well. So England looked great, and of course they seem to do that, whether it is for the Euros, whether it is for the World Cup, whether it is for the Nations League. When it comes to group qualification, they seem to up their sort of standard. I don't think the pressure is on the shoulders there. I think just the English nation expect them to qualify for these tournaments. This is their 16th tournament. Their last was in 2018. It's 7 in a trot for them, and of course they won it back in 1966. The manager for England is of course Gareth Southgate. Their key man, of course, is the goal scorer, superstar sensation Harry Kane. Get him firing, get him up and running early doors in this tournament, and you know what, he could actually not only get the golden boot, but he could actually fire England to some success. Let's take a long hard look at the group then. Of course, they are in Group B alongside Iran, USA, and of course their fellow United Kingdom nation, Wales. Of course, make up a bit of a Battle of Britain here, and of course that Battle of Britain will be match day number 3, of course. But England will kick us all off against an Iran team who are difficult, none the same. Of course, they flew through their qualification phase over in Asia, and of course we'll elaborate on that on their own dedicated video for Iran. But England will kick us off on the 21st of November against Iran. Early kickoff on that one. Then they'll follow it up with, of course, a bit of a bizarre one for me, as England take on the United States. Of course, that'll be on match number 25, and that's of course the second match for England. Hopefully, in their eyes, they'll hope to have qualified already before that Battle of Britain up against Wales on the 29th of November. 8 days after the first game against Iran. Of course, the key match for me is against the United States. Why is that key match for you, Dirk? Well, I'll tell you. Of course, I do anticipate England will win against Iran. It might not be good. It might be impressive, actually. England can be a little hit and miss when it comes to the grand stage of the World Cup. A lot of pressure, and they come into this, I think, second favourites. And a lot of people are hoping or expecting, perhaps, England to go the next step. Of course, Southgate may not have the 100% backing of the English fan base, but he has of course delivered some partial success. He dragged England to a World Cup semi-final in Russia in 2018. He dragged them to a European final against Italy. Of course, can he go that next step and make it to a World Cup final? Well, the chances are pretty good. Again, when you look at this group, realistically, England should come out on top. And again, I do anticipate I'm envisaging a comfortable win for England over Iran, but we remember we don't have to turn the clock back that far when Iceland came around, or some other shit shows extraordinaire. England can crumble under the pressure of a World Cup. We know that, but get off to a flyer against Iran, and I think it's going to be plain sailing for England, at least out of this group stage. into the knockout stages. So Iran, I'm expecting to win. The USA, I just don't know about that. And of course, I think that could be a defining point in this group as a whole. If they draw here, then guess what? They let themselves open for the potential of maybe Wales or even USA to actually come out as group winners on this one. So a monstrous game for them. And again, I'm not saying it's more important than the Welsh game. Of course not. You would want to win that game as well because a lot of local bragging rights, a little bit of banter between the Welsh and the English fan bases for sure. But it's a defining game. It's a defining game. It could go either way. It really could because USA could fluke it. Don't get me wrong, I think on paper, England are definitely a better squad and team than the United States. But, you know, football's a funny old game. And USA could nick a point out of that game, or maybe even nick all 3 points, which of course would turn this group on its bloody head. Of course, the odds for the England to qualify are 20-1 on. They are red hot favourites to qualify, and of course red hot favourites to qualify as group winners. They are of course 11-2 to win the tournament as a whole. And of course, when you do look at this group and you do see Iran kicking us all off, Wales as well, you would imagine England to go through this at least unbeaten, and of course that might end up with a couple of draws in there, but I do anticipate a pretty straightforward passage for England out of this group. But again, that USA game is massive, and again, it could define whether England will finish top or whether they finish second. So we'll have to see about that as well. So Linda, I think I'm going to be ready for your questions. What are you?
Can they win the World Cup?
Of course. When you look at the squad, let's take a... Well, I'm not going to take a look at it, but of course, look at the players. Look at the players. There's a monstrous headache waiting for Gareth Southgate when, of course, he names his 26 players that will go out to Qatar 2022. There's going to be heartbreak for some. There's going to be joy for others. And I'm sure there's going to be a couple of surprises in there too. But they've got a lot of talent. They've got a goal scorer, which, of course, is massive. They've got competition for the goalkeeping jersey as well. The main concern for me is the defence. Of course, Harry Maguire for country has been fantastic. For club, he's a little bit wobbly right now, and I think that's probably their weakest area. But also trying to keep all the personalities and all the egos in check is something else that's going to need a bit of extra management from, of course, Southgate. So can they win the World Cup? I do believe, yes, of course they can. They can definitely win the World Cup, and I do think they're here. They mean business. They do mean business. Linda, what else you got for me?
Will they win the World Cup?
Will they win the World Cup? Of course, I am coming at you from a bizarre point of view. I may sound English to you, but of course, I was born in Germany. My mum's German, my dad's Scottish. I'm not even 0% English at all, whatsoever. I think they can win the World Cup for sure, and I do think they're going to go at least to the semi-finals here. And again, that will be enough. That will be enough for the English public, the FA out in England, to, of course, keep Southgate in the hot seat. He's putting them in there. He's putting them in the shop windows, putting England in, of course, a prime spotlight for all the attention. Of course, some of the English fan bases will not be happy with a semi-final berth. They want more than that, and even a final will not do them. And that will be the downfall. That will be the downfall for England. I don't think they're going to win it because the pressure will seep through. The pressure from England's the watching public. They will do so well, so successful. Everybody's expecting them to go at least to the semi-finals, if not more than that. But for me, I think it's in your genes, England. It's in your genes. Of course, the women have added even more pressure, of course, winning the Euros earlier this year. I just think there's going to be too much expectation and hope and desire out there that the pressure on a lot of these young guys will come crashing down. So for me, this, of course they can, but will they? No. Where do I think they'll finish? Of course, England, I think they're going to finish in the semi-finals and perhaps make third spot, of course, in that a rather stupid bronze medal playoff spot. So for me, I'm going to go with the semi-final berth for England. So there you have it, folks. There you bloody have it. A short, sharp take on this nation's chances out in Qatar 2022. What do you expect this country will do in this year's tournament? Do you think they'll get out of the group stages, or do you think they'll go deep, deep, deep into the competition itself? Let me know your opinion down below. And of course, we'll look forward to non-stop coverage right here at Blackburn Overseas. We're going to have, of course, predictions, previews, reviews, reactions, and of course, reactions from real fans themselves, of course. So that's all to look forward to this year out in Qatar 2022. So make sure you smash your subscribe, smash the thumbs up, and smash the little bell, boys and girls, as we look forward to a fantastic winter, or at least late 2022 of world football. Let me know your thoughts and opinions again about this nation, and of course the tournament itself in the comment section. But until then, guys and girls, I'll see you soon for the next one.